Okay, this is Lana Ray back again. One of the things that I want to say is, once again, I am not talking about political parties. I don't really care for any of them. I really would like to go back to the constitutional republic where we just voted people, the best person in, and they got president, and then the second most votes got vice. And that's how it was in the beginning. But I think that in the next few months, once some things come to play, because we are still awaiting the Durham report, for those of you that are paying attention to that, Durham is still quiet, but there are hundreds and thousands of indictments. I do believe that part, because I see we've been exposed now to seeing, not on mainstream media, but you had better get on and find some other media sources on Facebook, and Telegram is another. There's a lot, and they've got free speech on Telegram, so you're going to see more than you ever wanted to see, and you'll see videos of horrible things going on with our children and with our women and with our men and boys and girls, and it will wake you up real quick, and you may have a time of having to come to the Jesus meeting here, because we are growing up fast in the USA and around the world. This is global. One of the things that I want to tell you is this is global. I've got a map on here that I've been working on where I've laid out the United States and all the countries a little bit. I mean, it's not perfect, because that's not really my thing, but and I'm updating it as I get different news items. And yeah, some of it may be disinformation, misinformation, whatever. I really don't care at this point. I'm putting stuff down here because when this whole thing comes to fruition, we will look back and be able to say, well, you know, that was wrong, but that really did happen, and I can't even believe it that was really true. We're going to say that. We're going to be amazed. Because at some time, at some point, the truth will come out. God will reveal. He's been revealing to his prophets all along. And some of them have backed off and thought they heard wrong and said, I'm wrong. And I don't know what to think about that, but I wish they hadn't have done it. I'm very elementary, but this is for all the people that can't understand what half of the intellectual groups on mainstream media and in the court system and all the legal stuff. If you can't understand all that, this is my take on explaining how, if there is, and I'm going to write the word up here because this is what you're going to hear a lot, and these are the bad people. I'm just going to call them the bad people that have taken over our nation back in 1871, if they did set up that corporation, and if they did sign over all the people to work for them, which would be over in the Great Britain, the England, where we branched off of, where we cut off from. They never really wanted to let us go and be free. And that's previous videos. If you haven't seen those, get on my website, visionallyforlife.com. And I'm on Facebook at the moment. So if this is happening as an umbrella, and they have connections to the media, And they're running those, a lot of them, not all of them. I mean, today there's some media that is actually covering a lot of things, like OAN network. I know they're covering all of this thing with the F word. That's not the real bad F word, but that word, for the thing we did on November 3rd. So, but back in the day, back in the 60s or whatever, when you only had a few channels, they could have controlled that. If they put the right people in places over those media stations, they could control it and they could speak to the people anything they wanted. This is how you would, they call it brainwashing, but it's not like we just sit there and we did, I guess, sit there and willingly just go, oh, did you see what happened today? We landed on the moon. My goodness, who'd have thought? Well, did we? I don't know. Some people don't think we did. Some people do. I don't know. If this is true, then all the countries, these are countries, all of these have these people planted in there. It's an operation. And if you're wanting to perpetuate this, and you would have royal families involved in this. I think there's a few names I can probably toss around and not get in trouble. Rothschilds, if you've heard them, and Rockefellers. So in each country, you could have the bad people group that is infiltrating into, they're doing what President Kennedy said, they're infiltrating, they're subverting, they're intimidating, and they're having covert operations. Now, because not everybody in our government is bad, there are some that are good. And there are some that are bad, okay. These good guys are having to fight against the corruption in their country. Now, some of these may not be the president or whoever's leading, whatever the name of the leaders of the countries, depending on the countries, but there can be this bad group operating in their media, in their education, in their government, in their businesses, all the 7 mountains of influence. If you want to know more about that, Lance Wallnow does excellent, he does charts too, and he's easy to understand, so go look him up. If this is going on in all the countries, then you've got global situations going on. And from the way that I've heard on many media outlets and different discussions going on about that, this is what President Kennedy knew had been happening. And so if he was going to actually come against this evil thing and take it down, this wasn't going to be something that could just be done in a year or 2 years or 3 years. This was a lifetime and a generational operation that would have to be conducted, because it had gone on for so long and it had infiltrated. They had infiltrated so many areas of the world and of our nation that they were in our education, and just slowly, like, how the frog, when you slow boil the frog, that whole concept is what we the people could have been under. Could be what we're experiencing right now. Is this whole thing is coming? It's coming to not to an end, but it's to a point where it's happening. It's actually happening. I get really excited about this. I mean, there's something I know in the spirit. There's something that it's like God's speaking to me in my spirit saying, get ready, get ready. The masses of people that are going to come to Christ during this, and we've heard about the Great Awakening, folks. But this is what's going to bring it on, because you're going to see masses of people be so mentally disoriented. Because if they learn, if you're 50, 60, 40, 70, and you're just now learning that 80, 90% of what you've heard on the media is wrong, or they've lied to us, and what we think's happened hasn't, and who they say is bad is really good, and who they say is good is really bad in our government and in wherever, in our Hollywood, Hollywood, oh my gosh, don't even, if you think the media's bad, oh, these guys sell their soul over. Many of them. I won't say all. I mean, there's a lot of discussion right now going on from these people coming out of Hollywood saying, I've had to just go along with it. Satanic worship, child trafficking. Many of them have been in those situations. This is massive. This is massive. And in my spirit, I know that this stuff is true. I don't know by names. I'm not going to get into names too much. You guys can go out and research. Get on some Facebook and YouTube. Just stretch yourself out there. Stop being like, well, I don't want, oh, if this sounds anything, I mean, I can't believe that. No, you better, we're coming to a time where you've got to understand it's real. Even if none of this other stuff with 1871, even if all of that isn't, there are still people abusing children, babies, women, men. Our people, humanity is being abused. Those of you that watch your Amber Alerts that are highly sensitive to children getting just stolen off the street. This is what's going on. It's a circuit. It's a global. They're shipping them. Why would we not believe that? Why would we not think that's true? It's evil. What do you think evil is? How far does evil go? How far will Satan go? How far will he go to deceive people and to infiltrate them? If they let him, he will possess them. We know there's demonic oppression and there's demonic possession. We read that in the Word. What do you think it looks like? It looks like this. This is what Paul, when he walked into Athens and he saw those pagan temples, we don't know what all he saw. He might have saw them sacrificing their children to Baal. They're still doing it today, but we're a lot more sophisticated. Get me off on that. So, you've got bad guys and good guys in all the countries. And even if President Kennedy did get assassinated, okay, let's just go that route. just if he did, the generals, I mean, that was a huge thing. I mean, they would have been like, man, they just took him out. This thing's serious, and if we don't do something, they're gonna put us in slavery. They're gonna put the whole nation, the whole world into slavery. They're just going to kill people if they don't like them. If they try to come against them, they'll just take them out. And they were getting big enough at that point to be able to do that, because they had infiltrated. They had covert means. They were subverting. They were intimidating. And they were taking away our freedom and our liberty and our sovereign rights as people. Now, in the next section, we're going to talk about, take this a step further, and we're going to talk about what might have been happening in the last 5 years. So stay tuned.